you are gonna see some cool ass shit.
Yeah, you don't want two Flavor Flays.
Heart transplants, brain surgeries. I've seen it all.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Walk up and just get it, whatever it is.
Yeah, brother.
I'm trying not to laugh, bro, but Josh is fucking killing me.
Guess what Navy SEALs do, motherfucker? They communicate and they're on the same fucking page.
Whoa.
We're live.
All right, welcome everybody. It is the Happy Hoodlum podcast. It's your boy, Kemper Woodruff, the Happy Hoodlum himself, and we have Zachary Sampson, the strong one, the mean one, the big one. We're back in the house for another episode.
You know.
I don't want to start off on like a somber tone, but I do want to give a salute. You know, I've had one, and I found out today a second friend of mine passed recently from like overdoses, and they're two just beautiful souls, you know, people that'll really be loved and missed, and that's Cody Harris and Nick Foster. Today's also the day that my best friend Paul Miller was killed like 9 years ago, so I want to give a shout out to my bro, forever my big bro. I fucking love him, love all those guys, you know, and it's sad to me, you know, to see what's come of their paths, knowing how vibrant they really are as people. And so I just want to say that because it's on my heart, you know, and I'm really going to miss those guys, you know, because people make your life special, you know, and I really think everyone can talk about like, oh, it's a drug epidemic or this, that, and the other. And it's easy to gloss over when you've heard it. But when that shit hits home and it's like your friend, you know, your child that's affected by it, you know, violence in the street, you know, like when it's your family and loved ones, like that's when people start to kind of take it seriously. And, you know, just because time passes on doesn't mean that we should gloss over it in our own minds, because it's also taking away from their journey takes away from your own, because learning from someone who you know so intimately can make you understand like, oh, I know the inner workings of this dude's brain, so like if they could do this, you know, and fall into this trap, you know, some of the strongest people that you know that have great characteristics, you know, get fucked off by one bad habit or something like that, you know, you're losing a lesson that you could learn without potentially stepping on that landmine of an activity yourself. Because right now, really, man, drugs are taking a lot of people. You know, guns are taking a lot of youths. You know, not just a lot of people, but really a lot of youths. You know, I look back on that shit like, damn. You know, we wanted to be grown, and it's like we were overly ambitious. You know.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And now that I'm older and I have a little bit more maturity, I can maneuver a little differently through it, you know? But I still see people not wanting to accept it, you know, at the same time, because there's like harsh realities that, like, if you don't mature from it and you try to go about it in like an immature way, try and neglect the situation or be like, that could happen to them, but you know, sorry they drew the short straw, but it ain't happening to me type shit. Like, no, it can't happen to anyone, you know?
Yeah. I never really
So
grew up around, like, I grew up in a small town, so I never really grew up around that shit. And like, so it's hard for me to have like a whole lot to say about it, but I know a lot of people. I've got family members that are practically circling the drain for like the last 10 years because of opioid abuse and just not taking care of themselves overall. And it's like I see it like they're just stuck in bed all the time, not able to do anything because they're just taking pills all the time and shit. And
Yeah.
so it is pretty bad.
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I grew up right next door, like, uh, to a meth house.
Oh fuck.
Like right next to a meth house. Yeah, on some crazy Breaking Bad shit. The dude who who owned the house. So like initially it was owned by my mom's best friend, and
Yeah.
so shout out to Alex, Celine, and Conka. So um, Conka and my mom were kind of like a dream team um, of moms on their own once our dad split, you know, when we were little. And so that's why Alex Celine is, you know, a brother of mine. And like for real, he's been in my family before I was even in my family type shit. But like when they moved out, this dude that bought her house was a teacher at I want to say Lewis and Clark, which is like a law school or some shit like that. It's a college, like a really prestigious college here in Oregon. And his brother wound up, you know, living in that house, and his brother was cooking meth, bro,
Oh,
for years, bro, years. Yeah, like dead ass. Like my brother told me this story, and I kind of forgot about it, you know, because I have a lot of different stories. Like this one wasn't what stood out to me, but like he was like, yeah, bro, we would just stand in front of like the house and just look at the house, and someone would come out and give us like $20 just to leave.
damn.
You know what I mean? And I remember fucking crackheads with like one broken overall, fucking scabs and shit, carrying fucking what was it, detergent and all kinds of shit that they would cook this shit with, bro. And they would have like fucking 4 gallons of detergent just like staggering down the fucking street. Yeah, bro. People coming and going
That's
all the time,
fucking
bro.
wild.
Yeah, so it was like I grew up like on this block that, you know, initially was like flourishing, you know?
Yeah.
We weren't considered felony flats at all, you know, like, and so all the kids would play out in the street and stuff, and this fucking crack house moved in, and all of a sudden it's like I gotta learn at like a really young age, like, don't touch needles, you know, because there were just needles everywhere, fucking crack pipes and fucking little meth, like little globes that they smoked that shit out
Oh
of.
yeah.
Yeah, bro, like just all kinds of shit came with it, you know? And so everybody was all of a sudden like, bro, don't let your kids outside when they got weirdos and shit. Also, right down the street, there's 2 kids that were playing with, like, one of them was playing with a gun or some shit. Got a hold of a gun when he was like 12 or 11 or something, shot his friend right in the side, bro. And I remember like looking at his like bullet hole shit,
Fuck.
like, bro, like just like weird shit that like as a kid you don't know what to even fucking make out of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like I look back at it now, like what, like kind of crazy ass shit was that? And then, you know, I'm not gonna say my other neighbors names just because out of respect for their family, because they had a cool ass family. But come to find out, you know, I remember like walking in his house, and he was really cool. Uh, we'll name them T and D for short, right?
T and D.
There are a
Okay.
couple
T and D.
letters, T, right? Let's go with first initials. Cool as fuck. I went over to their house. I remember T used to he knew how to sea walk, and so like he was the first person to show me crip walking, and not to like glorify gangbanging, but the shit looked cool as fuck, bro. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? That little white kid doing the crip walk, and I remember him showing me all kinds of music like Outkast. Like I'd
Yeah.
never heard Outkast before. I went into his house and I was sitting down listening to it. And I suppose it was like earlier Outkast too, not like the earliest, but you know, early 2000s. I was probably like 5 years old, so like 2000, 2001. Excuse me.
What?
And when we went into his house, though, looking behind the door, and there was an AK-47 sitting in a boot, like right behind the door, and like us playing
Fuck.
Doom on his computer, and behind the computer there was a fucking shotgun, like sitting sideways, like there were guns everywhere. I remember his dad coming in, letting us handle pistols and all types of shit, bro. When I was like fucking 5 and 6, 7 years old, and
Yeah.
come to find out, his dad was cooking meth in their shack in the backyard, you know. And he must have been moving a lot of shit because he had guns everywhere, bro. But
Fuck.
I was just around that shit, bro. Like I never really like put two and two together until I get older. But now I look at it and it's like even back then, as bad as those drugs were, it wasn't the whole fentanyl shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
that
shit
shit's
is way
fucking bad.
yeah, that shit's everything, bro. So if you're listening and you need a fucking smack over the back of the head, like what the fuck have I been doing? There it is, bro. Because these are incredible people, bro, that I will never forget. I got timeless fucking stories, you know, of just hilarious shit with them. And I really was like, I don't want to say disappointed in them, even though it is disappointing, you know? Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing drugs, but that shit also shouldn't be in the drugs. But since it is, just don't do drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be smart about it. Like there's fentanyl test kits. You can fucking test that shit. You should have that at the very least if you're gonna do shit. You know,
Problem is, if you got a problem, you know, and an addiction,
that's true.
you ain't all your money's not going to fucking buy these fucking test kits and ferret them bitches out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, and the worst part is like you can OD off of like a small dust particle of fentanyl that gets into your nose and shit. Like I was watching um I don't know what show it was, but it was some type of like live TV cop show I was watching with my dad. Um
Yeah,
and this dude opened up a bag of powder and just the little bit of dust from opening the bag caused him to start ODing.
yeah,
Fucking crazy.
yeah, dude.
And yeah, this
It's
shit,
gnarly shit, bro.
yeah, it's bad.
Like, I've seen people OD in my life, bro. This shit is not cool. And, yeah. But now that we've got that, I guess, out of the way, you know, because that shit was on my heart heavy, you know.
Yeah.
Back to health and fitness, I suppose, because I can tell you right now, one of the things that like blows me away, the more that I'm researching like classic bodybuilders and shit, is the way that they talk about what we would now describe as like a holistic way of living in all areas, mind, body, soul. It wasn't just that exercise is physical, like it has a whole spiritual and mental, you know, factor to it,
Hmm.
and gives you a place to really like learn yourself differently and take pride in your own development. And it just bleeds over into all these other areas of your life. And looking at shit now, I really see these epidemics and things like that, these problems that people have, as like a lack of self investment. You know, these are really just self image fucking problems, you know? And I think there's a huge crisis right now with identity. And we even see that, you know, and um, with this whole like upheaval and movements behind like the LGBTQ type shit, whether you're for it or backlashing against it hardcore, whatever it is, bro. I just see that more or less as like, especially how it affects kids, you know?
Hmm.
I think kids are a great way to look at, and I hate to say it like this, like if you were studying something like scientifically, a kid's like a pretty blank slate. You know, if you look at how it affects kids in school, that's about as much of a perfect demographic reflection of blank slates of minds,
Yeah.
underdeveloped minds in our society in this day and age that are understanding things and are fresh. And then you throw these fucking ideas at them, and what happens, you know? And we're seeing it right now. Like, it's really, this is what happens when people have an identity crisis, when there's no structure in themselves, of saying, this is who I am, this is who I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't have a whole lot to add to that right now.
I love you, bro.
Why? What?
I thought you had something cooking, bro. Sometimes you put me on ice and I'm sitting and I'm like, oh, here it comes, baby. And you're like, "Oh,
Well, I
just
had to
kidding."
make sure. I had to make sure. So I thought about it for a second. I'm just like, I mean, I can add something. It's just not like a conversation that I super enjoy having, just because it's like, one, uh, I think most people are good people, and this is like me talking to the people who all say the world's going crazy. It's
Yeah,
like, it's not really going crazy. It's just really loud right now. You know what I'm saying? And like,
elaborate on that.
so like, the loudest people on the left are the extremists. The loudest people on the right are the extremists. The people who are moderate, pretty quiet. You don't hear them very much, because if you go around and you just walk around throughout everyday life, you're not going to run into someone who's going to yell at you for using the wrong. You're very rarely going to run into somebody who just treats you like shit regardless of what you believe in. You know what I'm saying? And so when people say the world's going crazy, this, that, and the other, it's like, think about it. How many people do you run into that act crazy? Outside
I
of
think
like the people who are like druggies on the street, right? That are legitimately kind of just losing their mind, or tweaking, right? Is different. But like, if you're talking about people who are identifying left or right, all of them are kind of like, there's a very small group of people that is being analyzed. It's the extreme portion of each side, and you
well,
don't
yeah,
hear the moderate. That's the
most
thing.
people aren't taking a fucking census if they're normal. They ain't got time for that shit.
Exactly.
And I agree with you. Like that those are definitely like outlier situations. I think it also depends on where you live because
100%.
you know there's a level of like aggression that you get with like poverty that especially like I haven't been broke in another nation, right? But American poverty is like we were told to like be ballers because there's so much fucking opportunity in America. There really is.
Yeah.
And I feel like what there is a lack of is confident work ethic. Um, you know, and again, I think that goes back to self-image and not pushing yourself farther.
Yeah.
Because some like the hardest working people, a lot of them really have a very entry level position and job, and they don't realize how fucking easy it is once you actually start doing the right things and you adjust your habits rather than just expecting like your 9 to 5 to pay you what
Yeah.
you need, and just look at that as like, no, that's a failing system in a sense, and there's always going to be someone that will fill that role. And that's not to knock that person, but uh, yeah, man,
I
I
think in
guess,
terms of like the identity shit, um, I almost feel like right now, especially if we're talking about kids, they have it super easy in terms of like a lot of people nowadays can afford to uh get their kid a car when they turn 16,
Hmm.
right? But let's say like for example, my brother who's 6 years older than me, our parents couldn't afford to get him a car when he turned 16. So he had to get a job.
Yeah.
He was forced to go do things, forced to work, forced to grow up in a sense and develop an identity of who he was because he had to go out and he had to get uncomfortable to get the things that he wanted. And now it's kind of like, well, if you want something, we can get it for you because we can just do that. You don't have to earn it, you don't have to work for it, and you don't have to be uncomfortable. It's like someone who wants to be someone who wants to get shredded just takes Slim Fast and doesn't ever work out. It's not going to fucking work very well, and you're not going to get muscular.
I guess what I'm addressing is like that I didn't really get to clearly. A great example. If you come talking to a single mom, like there's a level of poverty with like single parenthood, bro, where she's just fucking tired, bro. You get aggression, like it's just what the fuck do you want sometimes? You know, like I
Yeah.
love you and my mom's a fucking saint, you know, but there were days when it was like she'd be like, for real, you better fucking what do you need? Like what are you tripping on? You know, and there's just a level of aggression that's inherent, you know, when you're dealing with poverty.
I wasn't
You
even
know,
talking about poverty in terms of like I was more so specifically addressing the whole identity thing. It's like if someone's not struggling, it's really hard to not have an identity. Like if you don't feel like you have something to accomplish, all your thought is going to be based on like, well, why don't I fit in type shit. It's
yeah,
like cuz you never find the place you never found the place to fit in cuz you never pushed yourself to be uncomfortable, you know.
yeah. I just think like, and I agree with that. I think that how do I say this? A lot of people get caught up in um, a small scope of what life has to offer
Mhm.
because of the the dramatic flair, you know, that you get, whether it's from like a high school, like being the man in high school, right?
Yeah.
And keeping that shit going, you know? Cool kid shit in high school, like a lot of my friends kicked it together after high school, you know? And a great example is like Cody's always a cool motherfucker. Always kicked it with tons of kids from like Franklin High School, you know? And not all of them did drugs. Some of them did drugs. And in the beginning, it wasn't like a big deal. This was like before the fentanyl shit, right? But as like time progresses, bro, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't get out of that almost like click, that like short sightedness of like
The
going
echo
to work,
chamber and shit.
yeah, just trying to get a better job and then still kicking it with like all your friends on the weekends or fairly regularly. You know what I mean? Out at bars and things like that. Like that shit is like a narrow aspect of life. You're not really thinking about like going to the islands and fucking visiting Europe. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, it's not just it's a level of like impoverished thinking. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And just a small thinking pattern, you know, and there's some people that like may think that way about like gang banging and shit, right? Because it makes them cool, gives them certain level of like status, you know what I mean? In the
Mhm.
beginning. And then all of a sudden shit progresses, you add a little bit of time, you add a little bit of if you're actually trying to become successful in that line of business and how you handle yourself, you know, you're going to run into some shit that's probably going to wind up either sitting you down or putting you down eventually. You know what I mean? Like, and that's an inevitability. Like, that comes with the shit. And it isn't cool, you know? And it robs you of life, you know? There's just things where we lose some of the coolest, bravest people because in the beginning they're doing some shit that's really either natural or honorable or just around them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just crazy shit, man. And, you know, someday I'll speak in a little bit more details on some of the experiences I've had and people that I know and love very near and dear have had in those realms, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that just change people, you know?
I think people and like human beings as a species are curious and adventurous, but with how our society is now, we don't get that as much. And so like you were saying, uh we kind of get locked into this narrow thinking of work, hang out with friends on the weekend. Thank God it's Friday. Fuck Mondays. And then you never really think further than that of like, all right, do I want a better job? Do I want a different job? Do I enjoy this job? What if I did this new activity? Could I have found better friends? Are my friends really uh, exemplifying the type of life I want to live? Do I want to go explore, see cool shit? What's the coolest shit around me? Let's go see that this weekend instead, type shit. And so rather than having that curious mind, we're getting locked into these, or people are getting locked into this state of mind of like, let's do the same shit over and over until it fucking ruins us. And then,
I,
yeah.
I think there's something interesting in that, like, how lucrative normalcy is, you
Yeah.
know, like, and the kind of intense draw that ease, you know, has on us. Because I can tell you right now, like, I've always been an incredibly curious person, and my mom, my mom, my dad, I've had a very unique upbringing, you know, and like, for instance, my mom taking me to see like Maya Angelou, right? Mind blowing. I got to see like Robin Williams perform. My mom would like take me out of school every now and then and just like play hooky with me, go and give me a slice of pizza, and we would go see like the art museum. You
Yeah.
know, go check out some shit like that. You know, like Cirque du Soleil, fucking um, and she would like have to scrape pennies, bro. Like I remember my mom like falling asleep in her food to do this shit. You know, she saved up for like ever, so when we were in high school, we could go to Cancun, right? And she always used to tell me like, once you see the blue waters, like you'll know there's way more than just Portland. Like, and it's on you from then on out as you get older to go and see the world. But I want
Yeah.
you to know there's a beautiful fucking world out there, you know? And Um, I think my dad did that through like concerts and snowboarding. You know, that was kind of his shit with me. But the point of what I'm saying is, when I was back in my neighborhood, you know, and back going through school in high school, you know, all I really was like caught up in is wanting to smoke weed. I figured I was gonna be a drug kingpin. You know what I mean? And me and my friends were gonna figure out how to put this shit together. Um, Although we were way too scattered, you know. Um, like I remember sketching that shit out, like a whole mob family fucking business. Bro, I'm not even joking, you know. And I remember just shit happening, you know, that didn't steer me. It didn't wake me up, bro. Like I literally had a fucking gun, a big ass fucking revolver put right to my fucking face when I was like 14, and didn't fucking scare me, didn't fucking, you know, not be that whole beyond scared straight shit, like didn't fucking work on me, bro. I was just like, yeah, fuck that. That was fucking bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
And I look back on that now and I'm like, what the fuck? You know, so I understand how people can go through shit and like get caught up in the draw of like just being like, yeah, that was some bullshit, saying this is unattainable, you know, this dream shit because I don't see myself as worthy of it or whatever it is, you know, selling yourself out on that, going out on the weekends, doing something like weed is cheap as fuck, bro, and more accessible than ever. Smoking weed, come home, see Netflix, you know, everything seems cool enough that you got through that night, and time is just fucking flying by, bro. Especially if you had like kids and other responsibilities, and you don't even realize you're not taking them out and you're not taking yourself out to go experience the fucking world, and you're not putting your dreams forward, you know, and really working on them and chiseling away at them every fucking day. And then you turn around and you're like, I fucked off like the past like 8 years smoking mad weed, you know, and not progressing. Like
Yeah.
I might have a little bit more wisdom as a person, but I don't have the experiences in totality that I want, you know? I still got a big ass mountain to climb and bad habits to do it with that I have to
Yeah.
overcome.
And those usually like people when they at the point of like waking up, there's two routes that they end up going. It's like, well, fuck, that's too big for me to climb now, so I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Or, fuck
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna figure out a way to climb it and I'm gonna do my best and hopefully I can figure it out.
And you know, I think you're right in that like you said that really well, the point of like waking up.
Yeah.
That's really what it feels like. And like I can't explain because everyone has like definitive moments where they recognize like their adulthood. And I
Hmm.
really think it's based on their like responsibility level. Like where life's got you to this point where you can no longer afford to be irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know? And I think right now we're losing a lot of people because even though they're grown, they're still fucking children based on their immaturity. You know what I mean? And they're doing shit that is fucking them up, and they wind up fucking dying on some dumb shit. You know what I mean? And for everyone that doesn't, I fucking salute you. You've been blessed with another day, bro. Do that shit. You know, whatever it is that you fucking want. Like, go see yourself in that form. If you want to get fucking built, go build your body. You know, if you want to sing, then make a song. You know, whatever the fuck it is, bro. There's no there's no competition in creativity. You know, and we forget to kind of allow what we're drawn to sculpt us. You know, and to start out fucking terrible at something and just be sculpted into this new form of fucking this new vision of perfection of it, you know, not perfect across the board, an individual perfection, you know, someone that mastered a craft through their tenacity, you know, through their discipline and consistency to show up and reimagine it over and over again and go, is that really right? Could it be better? You know what I mean? And along the way, you're gonna crush it on occasion, you know. And in order to hit that fucking massive home run, boom, out of the park, bro, you gotta show up to bat time after fucking time, you know. And there's gonna be moments in your life where it seems like that shit is like, is there another level? I think I mastered it, but you haven't.
Yeah, I
Just like
mean,
simple.
fucking you always got to learn how to hit the curveball. You may be good on the straight pitches, but as soon as the pitcher decides to throw something different, can you hit it? How many times does it take you to practice to get that next ball?
I don't know nothing about baseball, so that might be too in depth of an analogy. Even
Well,
though I played a little
there's a
video
ball,
game.
there's a pitch that's just straight down the line,
I
and then
just
they
know
can
what you're
curve the
talking about
ball
with
and shit.
I'm just saying, I don't know that I can double down on this baseball analogy in a beneficial way for our listeners. So I'm gonna just
It's
put
just
myself on blast.
it's just
I'm sorry.
reps. It's just
I'm
reps. It's the
yeah.
same thing you were just talking about. Just how easily can you adapt to the new thing that's coming at you?
Yeah.
You know.
But sometimes like I think about it and it's like last week I said the small steps are really the big steps. Like maybe the real home run isn't when you finally get it right and that thing gets the recognition. It's all the little things in between that you fucking tweak and try. And even might even fail, but you decided to try that shit again.
Yeah.
Like and it can be simple, like your workout routine can get boring. And you look and you try one new exercise and it's like, oh wow, that was so fucking awesome. I'm gonna try many different variations from now on. Like, and it reignites that passion for something. And it might not be exercise. Chances are it's probably something different than that,
Yeah.
you know? But that's like when you said to me like about doing the log carry, I was like, dude, I think that was a something that like kind of sparked in me because simplicity gets very, very overlooked because it isn't fucking flashy and it might not be this thing that seems fucking revolutionary.
Yeah.
But I was really kind of just in there thinking about it and I was like, I'm getting strong, you know? And I've been studying bodybuilding and like, you know, Olympic lifting and things like that. But I was like, I don't really see the benefit of like there aren't too many situations where you're fucking deadlifting like 700 fucking pounds. You know what I mean? There's just not too many of them. But carrying something on your fucking shoulder, you're gonna do a lot of.
You want to know why what you just said about deadlifting is semi inaccurate?
Hit me with it. I love this shit.
Because the most two functional movements for life is deadlift and squat. If you are strong in your deadlift and your squat, you can always bend down to pick up your kid. You can always bend down to pick up a box. No matter how heavy or light that box is, if you continue to be able to deadlift and squat, those two movements throughout life will keep you functionally strong. The only, out of the big three movements, squat, bench, and deadlift, the only non-functional one is bench. Because there's no point in time where you're ever going to be fucking doing this.
No,
Very
bro.
rarely.
If you get somebody off of you, or
I mean, having pressing power is good. You need to have pressing power.
Lift the car. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay?
Just,
Now you're just now you're just talking one out of a lifetime situation.
No, I know.
But also the carrying thing that you're saying is extremely accurate too. Is like in a lot of situations, like if for whatever reason maybe you need to carry a fucking person up a hill or some shit because they hurt themselves and you got to get them to somewhere safe, right? Or other situations where it's like, oh, I just need to carry this heavy shit up a set of stairs and it's an odd object, but you're comfortable with carrying fucking sandbags, right, up a fucking flight of stairs or carrying them 20 yards and back. If you're comfortable with that type of shit, you're going to be way more comfortable in real life scenarios. So like what you're saying is 100% factual.
And I'm like, everything's like case by case. For me, I'm looking at it like, how can I build my body in a way that's not just, appealing for the physique, but do it in a way that's like I'm actually able to function in these real world situations, whether it's me carrying something on my shoulder or, just causing instability, I guess you could say, or like awkward lift.
You
that
want to
are in a
be,
environment
yeah.
before I have to actually do it in real life. So that way my body's tempered and used to it. You know what I mean?
Well, you just don't want to be only gym strong. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people who like don't have a whole lot of grip strength because they use lifting straps all the time to deadlift or to do any other thing ever. And then there's people who fucking are jacked as fuck, but if you ask them to fucking carry something, they have a hard time figuring it out, you know? And so like watching videos of real manual labor workers, like bro, I watched this video the other day of this dude legitimately picking up a fucking tree and putting it on his shoulder to move it to a different pile. Like this shit was a massive fucking tree, and most bodybuilders will not be able to figure out how to do that very easily. And
Dude,
so
I
like
watched
that type of shit is fucking impressive.
Reno, my stepdad, put a whole fucking telephone pole on the top of his Dodge truck one time. And
Yeah, bro.
I was like, how the fuck did you just do that shit? You
Yeah.
know? That was when I really learned about like fulcrums. You know what I mean? Because he was able to get one part up, you
Yeah.
know, and get under it and really like lift it up. But when I was like 14, watching that blew my fucking mind.
Yeah. Leverage and shit.
Yeah, bro. Like, matter of fact, shout out to Paul. Here's a story to tell you some shit about Paul. Paul's just ridiculously strong, bro. And one night, we go to this. Well, I'll cut through the party. Anyways, we go to this party. Some shit happens. We wind up taking a whole bunch of drinks from the party, and meeting up with a dude, a Native American cat, because I'll leave his name at that. I don't know if he still does what he does. We wind up with some mushrooms, bro, and me and four of my friends go and do some mushrooms, right? So we do these mushrooms, and a fucking thunderstorm happens, bro. And it was cool as shit, actually. I remember sitting in Mount Tabor Park looking up through these trees, right? And these trees had like a harvest moon that was like big and orange on the other side of it. And we're all waiting. My friend asked me, he's like, did they kick in for you yet? And I'm like, I think they're kicking in right now. And it looked like this fucking like Japanese parchment, was just all lit up because the moon was right there. And the way that the tree branches were like swaying, it looked like calligraphy, like writing. And I was like, what? This is so dope. So once they're like kicking in, we start moving up the mountain. So we're going up the mountain, and we get to this spot at the top of like kind of a roundabout from the dog park, and they were doing like I don't want to say construction, but they were laying some gravel down somewhere. There's a big ass gravel pile. There's like endless mush. Like it felt fucking like an infinite pile. Like I don't know. And it started raining so fucking bad, Zach. Like thunderstorm, whoosh, fucking torrential rain, and I'm so high. I thought I was in like the Avatar forest, right?
What?
And yeah, I'm sitting there. Everything is like bright ass purple, and all the rain that's like landing on me are those little spirits that like come down
Oh
in the
yeah,
first.
like the little flowers and shit.
Bro, I dead ass lived that fucking experience, right? But I'm over here having this incredible time, and I look back, and it was the only time that I ever saw I've never seen Paul scared of anything in my life. Ever. Not even the slightest bit freaked out. Ever. Like a man amongst men, bro. But mushrooms carry death. Like they're born in death and they carry life, bro. But the only way that you get life out of a mushroom trip is when it kills off an aspect of your fucking understanding and awareness, right? And so, I asked him about it later, and he never liked the dark because of growing up, you know, and some of the shit he went through growing up. The dark freaked him out, you know, and I just gave him this big ass hug, bro. And I was like, bro, when I set you down, we're going right up this fucking mountain. And like he was like, all right. So I set him down, and Paul's fast as fuck, bro. A super athlete. Like super duper athlete. I look at it now, bro, and it's so disappointing to me in that like the same things that, you know, led to his demise in the streets, you know, would have made he literally him as like a Green Beret or like a Navy SEAL, like he could have done it. I fucking guarantee you. Like as a high schooler, he could have passed that shit. Just absolutely tremendous. Brilliant mind. Fucking so strong physically and mentally and spiritually. Like he's just, there's no one like him. Anyways, he goes ripping up this fucking mountain. We conquer this mountain and go back to Creston Park, right? Now, I'm out of the fucking Avatar Forest. I had this moment where I was all freaked out and lost because I guess I'll tell you this part. Some goofy shit. So we're coming down the mountain from Mount Tabor, and there's this little like path down the reservoirs. And so as we're walking down and out of the park, there's this Crown Vic that's pulling up, and it's just going slow as fuck, bro. Just so slow, and I can see the silhouette of the car, and it's a Crown Vic. I'm like, oh fuck, that's the cops, bro. What the fuck, you know? And it feels like forever because I'm on mushrooms. There's like 5 of us. We're all kind of like stumbling around because not only are we drunk, I got a fucking scale and hella weed in my backpack. I'm like 14 or 15. I'm like, fuck this, bro. I hate this shit. And the anticipation was sickening. I just took off, bro. Turns out it was someone who lived. We were like right on the park exit, you know? They were going to like turn into their driveway, and it was just raining so bad they couldn't hardly see. But it was like some shit out of a fucking detective movie or something, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And I couldn't handle it, bro. I just took off into the forest on my own, bro. And Paul came and literally found me, bro. I didn't have my phone or nothing at that time, bro. And I was just like making noise. Or I did have my phone, and he sent me a text. He was like, bro, just call out. I'll find you. And he found me by noise. So he comes and finds me. So that was my freaky moment on this trip. We get back to Creston Park. In Creston Park, there was a thunderstorm, bro. And all these branches of the fucking trees were like smashed on the ground. And there was one branch, and I remember it was probably like 12 to like 14 feet long. So not like super duper long, pretty fucking long. But that shit was like this big around. Like it was fucking like a straight up a tree. Like if you just chopped all this fucking shit off, it was a fucking tree, bro. I watched Paul squat down, pick that shit up, and like it was nothing, bro. Lift it over his head. And just laugh at me. And I was like, bro, how the fuck are you doing that? And he dropped it. He just picked it up. And it was literally like, I was like, dude, it's not like we got huge ass hands. Like, we're little people, bro.
Yeah.
Especially Paul's like 5'5", 5'6", maybe. You know? He picked this shit up over his head probably like 3 times. And just fucking dropped it and was like, it's nothing. I went back and looked at that shit in the morning, and I just like tried. Dude, there's no way. That shit was like 500 or 600 pounds, bro. I swear to God. And he just fucking picked it up so fucking easy. It was retarded. I was like, bro, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at that and I'm like, man, the same things that like sometimes the best people lose these opportunities where they just didn't find that perfect path for them right at that moment. You know what I mean? It's not to say that their life wasn't great, you know? But I look at it and I'm like, not only could he have straight up been in the NFL, you know, but no joke, I would have loved to have like been in a platoon in the military with him.
Yeah.
Like just a straight born leader. You know what I mean? and courageous but smart and full of like tact and like survival instinct. Like some people got fucking instincts. You know, there's some people that just can only do that like straightforward approach, you know, and they got to be macho. They got to like, oh yeah, we're going straight through it every time, you know? And there's other people that are like cunning, where they're like, I'm going to act like, you know, I don't even pose a threat to you, and then I'm going to fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or I'm going to ambush you or do some shit like that, bro. And he had one of those minds that could do both, you know? And I'm just like, that would have been perfect in a different arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet anyone that you were like, that dude's got a mind for this, you know, and you saw him not using it in that way?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's been someone uh, that has had incredible potential that I've seen, um, and that they were wasting it. But I can't think of somebody off the top of my head. No.
Yeah. Well, shit, dude. You know,
Don't waste your fucking potential, motherfuckers.
yeah. And people overlook like different skills, right? Like, talk about like Cody Harris for a second, bro. My bro Cody could legit find a way to be happy.
Yeah.
Like that is such a skill, like to genuinely be present and be happy as fuck. He could even be doing some stupid ass shit, bro. And you could be like, bro, that's fucking stupid. And he'd be like, oh yeah, that is pretty fucking dumb, huh? Laugh about it and just like brush that shit off. Like it never fucking happened.
Yeah.
You know? And I see like that might have been like his superpower that also led to his demise, you know? Of like at a certain point, you know, not taking certain things serious that you should. You know? Nick Foster, bro. Funny as fuck. Um, really creative. You know? Like would find a way to make a game out of anything. But did not take many things serious because the same way that like made him so fucking fun to be around. Funny ass dude. He like okay, I'll tell you this. After Paul passed away, right? I I was living on 92nd in Foster. I had the whole top floor of a building pretty much, right? And I was having like the whole neighborhood over. All the kids from the neighborhood would come in. And I was throwing these parties and Nick's there one night, right? And mind you, my best friend just got shot. Um, Nick's sitting outside on the balcony smoking a cigarette, and I come up to him like, Nick, what's going on? And he's laughing. He had this unforgettable laugh. He was like, it almost sounded like a fucking dolphin. He was like, like as he would laugh, it would get like higher, bro. And it was dead ass. Like it was so fucking funny. And I come out and I'm smoking with him and I'm chilling, and he just pulls out. He goes, bro, hold on, and he puts his fucking cigarette in his mouth. And he's like, check this out. Fucking pulls his backpack around, reaches in his backpack, pulls some shit out, and just throws it, and it just explodes. This motherfucker's got a backpack full of fucking fireworks. You know what I mean? And he throws one out. It's like, bow! And it's loud. loud as fuck, bro. And he
Yeah.
just starts throwing a bunch of them out. And I'm like, dude, would you fucking chill out? Like,
Yeah.
and people are coming out of the house like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And he's
Yeah.
sitting there like, and I'm like, just, he was one of those dudes that he would, a party fucking animal, one of the funnest dudes to be around, but just didn't have that fucking respect level of like, when was it too much, you know?
Yeah.
But open hearted and generous, fun ass dude. For me to have found that shit out today, I was like, fuck, bro, on top of fucking Cody. Yeah.
Rest in peace. You know.
Hey, bro. I know all my bros went to heaven. They're up there partying with the best of them now, but damn, bro. Wrapping your head around like not seeing somebody, because I'm used to like I would see Nick on the random, you know what I mean? But he was just someone that you just have like that classic bond with. When you see him, you're like, fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Every
Yeah.
time, so happy. Cody's like, that's really like family, bro. Where it's like I would see him all the time, and there's like little shit that you miss about people. Like Cody, the way his nostrils would flare when he would talk to me sometimes, bro. He would say some shit, um, and just such a genuine person, bro. But a goofball. Like Cody and me had an interesting relationship, but one thing I loved about him, he was always so genuine, and there was always love there. He was the type of dude that would come up to you, bro, genuinely insult you, and then genuinely compliment you back to back, bro. Like both things, complete sincerity. Like, and like I'll just remember him, like me giving him a hug and him like trying to wrestle me. And I'll be like, bro, I'll fuck you up, and then be like, you fucking might, but I'll take it. You know what I mean? And his nose would fucking flare at me. You know, and be like, come on. He's like, you might fuck me up, but I'll get one or two in. I'll
Yeah.
fucking take it. You know, and just shit like that. You know, and it was always like unexpected. You know, I never had like he was witty, and it seemed like he always had one in the chamber for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would be across the room, like actively having a fun ass time, and like he would just see me over there having some fun, and just think of some shit to say to me, like some slick ass shit, and he would say it to me. And it was almost like a mental jab. Like he would jab me, all of a sudden it's like I'm fucking like, what the fuck? You know, and then I'm like marinating in something. And while I'm marinating in it and I don't have a comeback, he compliments me. I'm like, I want to fucking slap the shit out of you sometimes. I'm just having a good time. Now I'm all mind fucked and shit. And bro, I love him. I remember going over to his house one time and we were chilling with some girls and shit. And the next morning, he's like, oh shit, my dad's home. Comes running up the stairs, you know, like he takes a peek, hears his dad fiddling with the lock, comes running back up his stairs, dives straight out of his fucking window like James Bond. We're on the second story of the house, bro. I'm like, what? Like,
Do we need to fucking follow him?
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Joseph just looks at me and just runs and jumps out the window. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this normal? Like, I'm outside on the fucking edge. Like, bro, what do you mean? And they're like, come on, just jump. We gotta go, man. And I'm like, dude, it's just your dad. Like, bro, I remember jumping off of that fucking house, dusting my shit off, and being like, what the fuck, bro? He was like, I'll explain later. We're just all just fucking running. The girls were like, fucking fuck this. I'm walking out the front door.
Yeah.
Stupid. We just
That's
left.
funny. Yeah.
Just straight up left, bro. No fucks given. Just
Fuck.
goofy shit like that, bro. And I got like 1,000 memories of him doing fucking hilarious ass shit like that, bro. And that's like, that type of shit sticks with you like till the fucking end of time. And it's just such a trip to like not be able to see that person's like their heyday of like they fucking nailed that shit. You know, they got it
Yeah.
right. They like them having a kid. You know, me being able to fuck with their little kid. You know, and be like, you know, see our kids playing together. What's up? Go beat up Uncle Cody and shit like that. You know, like
Yeah.
that's the shit. It's like that's trippy, bro. And seems like since my dad died, like shit just affects me differently, bro.
Yeah.
And I really don't believe in death. I really believe there's just life and life in a different form. You know? Um, but there's something to that shit where it's like it's something that I don't really understand, you know? And now it's made me more present in my life and wanting to live to my fullest potential. And in the strangest way, bro, it's like I now love this cycle. And I think there's this weird balance of not taking life for granted to the point where you get in like rinse, wash, repeat mode,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So you don't lose that like zest of being like that fuck it energy. But learning how to take that fuck it energy and know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, you know? And like when the situation really calls for it, so you can be like, oh, when in Rome, I'm gonna do this shit, and when not to, and what to do, you know? Like, I don't need to be so involved in this party scene right now that I come out of my character and start doing some shit that I know is like bad for me, you know? But I can also kind of be a little wild in this environment, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think that quality of life is like congruent with or like with longevity, you know? Like quality of life doesn't necessarily equate to that, you know? Like if you're someone who gives up on those moments and doesn't decide to live on the wild side a little bit, you know, under the right circumstances, you rob yourself of all these other things, you know?
Yeah, and I guess it depends on what your definition of quality of life is, though. You know, like some people prefer the comfort, some people prefer the exploring and discomfort of things. You know, so it kind of depends on what the quality of life is for that person at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. Like I really admire people that know themselves well. You
Yeah.
know, like I was watching this interview of a old school bodybuilder named Bill Pearl who owned a gym, and Bill Pearl's also written like a bunch of books. And just listening to like him describing his life and how everything centered around him in the gym and him becoming a coach and him trying to perfect how to teach people, writing these books and taking like 8 years to write a fucking book. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like truly crafting this fucking masterpiece. You know what I mean? And giving it to the world and like listening to him because he died at like 92. Him looking back on his life is like as he reflected on like that's so fucking beautiful Like that's an example of like when consistency like pays off. But like while he was going through it, he didn't know if he was gonna wake up and have a heart attack or not. You know what I mean? He could have died at fucking 52. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I look at shit like with my dad, right? My dad wakes up, he thinks he's just going to work. Boom, that's the day that he fucking dies, right? Thank goodness that he went out and went to hella concerts and skied a ton, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But I also look at it like in terms of like his life with my stepmom, like there was a lot of times where it's like he played it cool when he shouldn't have for like fucking 20 years, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, fuck. You know, I look at even like my friends passing away, some of them, and I'm like, yo, we got to live our lives in a fulfilling way, consistently, but not breaking our character for catastrophic nonsense. You know? There's some things that just ain't worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's just don't roll the dice unnecessarily, but roll them motherfuckers when it's worth it, you know? When that
Calculated
risk.
fulfillment.
And I mean, lately this podcast has been pretty weird.
What do you mean?
Have you felt that way, bro? I feel like it's been a little bit weird lately.
What do you mean?
I don't know, like maybe there's just something in the air, bro. Like this season is of my life at least has been a strange feeling of, I don't want to say limbo, but just right on the precipice of something where it's like I can't quite put my fucking finger on it, you know? And that's not to say that that's across the board. There's people going out, living it up, having fucking fun, you know, going to festivals, doing all kinds of shit. Their life's fucking glamorous. There's something to it, bro, about this season of life right now where I'm seeing a lot of like things settling into place, but they're not quite settled yet. You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's come across a little bit in like when I'm assessing things. Usually, like, I feel like I got a fucking straight arrow something to say. You know? Right now, I'm like, there's been so much shit. Maybe that's just what death does. Makes you a little bit inquisitive. You know? I'm like, huh. Interesting time.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else to close it out with?
No, I mean,
It's pretty much been, and I apologize, and that it's like one for the homies, you know, but I don't apologize at the same time because we got to do it, you know, for our loved ones to honor them, you know. But I know it might make it a little difficult at times, you know, contribution wise, of like me telling you some stories. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it just as much as Zach. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about these people um, that have been very impactful with, you know, just their love and their friendship over the years with me. I don't mean to add a somber tone,
yeah.
you know, to the podcast, but I wanted to do that tonight. So, with that, next week we'll be back with some more shit.
Hell yeah. Obviously.
Salute.
Peace.